Hello, everyone. We are going to do a quick tour of the urinary system. I have a lot of massage therapy students who tend to mix up the urethra and the ureters, so we're just going to go over it briefly. So, the main organs of your urinary system, the filtering units for the blood of the body, are going to be the kidneys. All right. These are going to be described as dark red bean shaped organs in the body. These little unlabeled pyramid shaped glands above them are your adrenal glands. Very important for the reproductive as well as the endocrine system. But that is not what we're talking about today. So the blood comes into the kidneys. We filter that blood, and we also, in addition to removing waste products, the kidneys need to decide, do we keep or get rid of a lot of this water in it, or do we cycle it back through? This is where anti-diuretic hormone that tells the kidneys to hang on to that some of that water is sent down by the pituitary gland as a tropic hormone and tells it, hey, put that water back in the system. Now, as the kidneys do filter out waste, it does mix with some of that water to make it a liquid medium, which then travels downward through these tubes that come out of the kidneys. These are called ureters or ureters, tomato, tomato, depending on who you talk to. A nephrologist that you're seeing or a urologist might tell you which pronunciation they prefer. And speaking of nephrologists, please remember that a nephron is the main filtering unit of the kidney. So when we hear the terms renal and nephron on the licensing exam, we are absolutely talking about the urinary system and the kidneys in specific. All right, so the blood is filtered, all the waste product and a little bit of water comes through the kidneys down these ureters or ureters. That happens through peristalsis, those smooth muscular contractions that occur also in the intestines and esophagus of the digestive system. It pushes that urine down into the bladder, which is basically just a sac for holding on to that urine. Now, this bladder is not going to have any muscle contractions of its own. All right. It's going to store the urine until it is released through the urethra to the outside world, through that final sphincter, to allow urination to occur. Now, one thing that you will be asked about UTIs and urethras on the licensing exam. Is regarding, is this true or false? And it's usually pertaining to women being more prone to UTIs due to the shorter length of the urethra. All right. Let's not mix up ureter and urethra. It goes from kidney to ureter to bladder to urethra. Now, the urethra is where the urine goes from the bladder to the outside world, which is a very short trek for a normal sized woman. Whereas in the male, it needs to travel not only through the bladder, but then also down and through the length of the penis, making it harder for bacteria to travel up from the outside world in what is called an ascending urinary tract infection. All right. It makes it much more difficult for bacteria to travel upwards and actually reach the bladder. By the time a bacteria gets halfway up, it's going to be rinsed out again with more urine rushing out of that urethra. So that is why it is much easier for women to get bacteria that goes up the urethra into the bladder, causing those UTIs. All right, that was a quick tour. Remember, it goes kidney, ureter, bladder, urethra. I'll see you guys on the next one.